You're listening to another great podcast in the iMac Podcasting Network.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the show where we take a wander around the week in Apple news, reviews, technology, associated products and all sorts of other things that catch our eye. This is another episode of the Essential Apple Podcast. Hello everybody, welcome to this week's show. This week I'm joined by fellow slacker. It's Ivor the Airship Pope. Hello Ivor.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm alright mate. I think people might have to be a certain age and possibly British to get that, but never mind. Well, this week of course Apple have released a load of hardware by surprise. They had an interesting way of breaking the news with Tim tweeting cryptic photos. Tim's been in China. Google have previewed their cloud gaming platform Stadia, which apparently would appear to work everywhere apart from on iOS, bizarrely. Microsoft are talking up their equivalent system, which is called xCloud. And the news was full of everybody trying to second guess what Apple were going to tell us tomorrow. I think we're going to stay away from trying to second guess what Apple are going to do tomorrow, but we'll probably just wait and see about that. But Ivor, welcome back to the show. I know it's been a couple of years since we had you on. How is your Airship?
So yeah, it's been a busy couple of years. We had an incident on the airfield back in 2017, late 2017, which led to the loss of that aircraft. We have recovered and disassembled that part. We've taken huge steps forward to learn everything. We did 6 flights on that aircraft. Each one had flight test instrumentation feeding back valuable data to us. We've frozen what we think is the design for the next Airship, including all of the lessons learned and all of the good stuff that we got from that FTI to make it more stable, to make it, just much more efficient aircraft. We've been doing some amazing wind tunnel testing on it that has led to a slightly different shape to the last one, quite similar, but just enough differences to absolutely know that going forward it's going to be the right thing to do. So us as a production team, we have been feeding in our thoughts and experiences from the first one, because actually when we come to make the next one, we want to be out on an airfield for maximum amount of time and very short turnaround periods for next flights. And to do that, we've had a lot of input into the initial design phase to make sure that it's absolutely ready for quick maintenance, quick turnaround, ultimate efficiency out on the field. And we're instead of looking backwards into what happened back then, we're looking forwards to a bit of a brighter future. We've never been in a better place. It's great fun, absolutely great fun.
Excellent. And if people want to take a look at your Airship, I know it's not yours personally, but what is it? Where can we find that?
So if you type Airlander into Google, I would have to quickly look up our homepage, which is terrible. I think it's, hang on one second, and overairavehicles.com is the website. We're just going through a upgrade to that as well. So in the next couple of months, you'll see that website change into something pretty special. There's a fair bit of information on there. There's a couple of videos, and the interesting part of it is we've had a high value sort of posh customer experience mock-up built, and the images are on the website, and it's sort of the idea where you fly across the Serengeti, look at migrating animals, and just a bit of a first class experience. And it's the future. It's what we're invested in. There's plenty of other things that customers can do with our aircraft. It's kind of up to them, and we'll just develop, with those people what they need. And it's all on that site. It's quite a fun time at the moment. Oh, excuse that cat. She is. So yes, really good, really positive.
Excellent. And so just in case anybody's not fully aware, your Airlander is a hybrid air vehicle, isn't it?
That's correct. Yes,
That is correct. Yeah.
It's an aerofoil shape, so it gets 60% of its lift from forward motion, much like an aircraft wing. 40% of it is helium within chambers inside, a mixture of helium in pockets and air pockets. So you naturally, if you want to fly straight, you keep it balanced. If you want to descend, you take on the air, which is heavier than the helium, and it descends. You expel the air to climb. It's all sort of a mixture of future aviation and we still use ropes, knots, and pulleys in some areas. So it's quite an interesting place. It's a bit of a mixture of all technologies.
Excellent. Well, there we go. So, if you're interested in that, we'll put the link in the show notes, of course. And it's an interesting project. And as you said to me, previously, although you did have an incident that resulted in the loss of the previous build, that actually, in many ways, has turned out to be beneficial.
Yes, yeah, we were unable to sell the last one as a prototype, and we've never been able to get the type certification for it because of the traceability of all the products. We were working with another company at the time, and they hold some IP and we hold some IP. So now, being able to start again, we can, gain the traceability from start to finish. The other positive thing is, over the last 12 months, we have been awarded our production organization authority. Production authorization approval from this CAA to build aircraft, which was something we were trying to get to. Also, in the last 12 months, we got the company's design organization approval as well. So it puts us in the realms of your Airbuses and Boeings. It's a great achievement, and we're looking forward to the next stage.
Excellent. Well,
it was good fun the other day. We went out to a science fair in Bedford called BedPop, and we had a load of helium balloons, and we were trying to get the helium balloons to be neutrally buoyant. So when you let go of them, they neither go up nor down. So what we were doing is putting bags on them with Lego men in, and we were encouraging the kids to try and reach this state of neutral buoyancy. And one Lego man might be too heavy, so the kids were taking their heads off and just putting it. But it was interesting because what we could do then is, we've got them there with a helium balloon, saying, yes, this is a neutrally buoyant thing. Do you think we could do the same thing with an aircraft that's the size of a football pitch, which is what ours is? And they were, in disbelieving. So I pull out my phone and show them the pictures of us having done exactly the same thing in the hangar, 2 years previously. So the kids were absolutely amazed the fact that you can float an aircraft the size of a football pitch just like you can a small helium balloon. So it was a positive day. It was good fun.
Yeah, very good indeed. I've found a link here which is hybridairvehicles.com, which I don't think is yours.
That's correct. Yes, that's us.
Oh, that's you. There we are.
Yeah,
Airlander, Rethink the Skies. That's the one.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes, Airlander 10, new type of flight with groundbreaking capabilities. Lots of information on there. Okay. Well, let's move on a little bit, shall we?
Okay.
Apple made 15 announcements this week. I've got a link to Business Insider that tells you what they all are. There's a lot of, watch straps in various colours and so on. But of course, they started out with Tim tweeting his picture of his iPad Mini, and then they released some iPads, an iPad Mini 5, I believe it is, and a new iPad Air. Both of which are effectively in the middle range. They're not as highly spec'd as the Pros, and they're slightly better spec than the what I guess you would now call the entry level iPad. Did you see these at all? Did they catch your interest, Ivor?
Yeah. So because I've still got a very good working iPad Pro 12.9 that currently I'm not using that much. My daughter's getting more use out of it than me for a lot of drawing that she's interested in. I did have a quick look at the site. I saw that it's a nice sort of price range that they're coming in at the moment. There's a big difference between the Pro and the lower, the Air iPad and iPad Mini. The specs seem to be pretty good. I think it's a good time to buy at the moment.
Yes, I think so too. The interesting point about the new Mini and the Air is that they appear to have almost the identical specs. I'm told by people who know more about such things that they are almost the original iPad Pro guts.
Right. Okay.
They've got the A12 Bionic chip. Obviously, there are certain things that they don't get from the Pro range because they're half the price, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't get the 4-speaker system. You don't get the Pro Motion 120 frames per second screen. You don't get Pencil 2 support or the wireless Pencil 2 charging.
That's a shame.
It is slightly, but I think I can understand why. Mostly, I think for the cost.
Isn't that new Apple Pencil linked by that ProMotion screen?
I'm not sure if it's that or if it's more to do with the charging, because you've got to put an induction charger in with the magnetic holder. Right. You don't get FaceTime. You don't get
Face ID.
Yeah, you don't get Face ID. You don't get the Face ID. They've got the Touch ID home button, so you don't get the bezel-less screens. But I would say that for the price point they're bringing them in at, I think that's acceptable. You do get Pencil 1 support and crayon support. You get the Logitech crayon support if you wanted a cheaper alternative.
Yeah, I've never seen one of those in the flesh, but I do hear they're pretty good. I do love the fact that the pencil support has come to the smaller iPads because why not?
Yeah.
I've done some handwriting on in meetings at work, and the OCR for that is incredible. Even my handwriting isn't too bad, but sometimes when you're in a rush and it's not quite so neat, it still seems to be highly accurate. It's fantastic, very impressive.
Yeah. So lots of and about time really for the Mini. I think a lot of people were beginning to think the Mini was doomed.
Exactly.
But I'm pleased really to see the Mini, because I know several people who have Minis and they love them. There's a lot to be said really for that size. It's bigger than a phone, but people find it easy enough to carry around with them rather than a full size sort of 10, 11-inch tablet. So the people who like them have been very committed to them. I know Carl over at Mac and Forth is well pleased because he's been waiting for a new. I mean, I think what he was really hoping for was a Pro Mini, but
yes, yeah, yeah. He does love his Mini.
I'm not sure that they're going to do a Pro Mini. But that said, a lot of people are saying that these two new iPads are Pro enough for most people, if you get what I mean.
Yes, yeah.
They do support the True Tone colour. They do support pencil. That's a big thing, I think. One of the biggest things is people, like the idea of being able to use the pencil. And also, talking of the Logitech Crayon, it would appear that the latest beta release of 12.2, which is beta 6, has turned on Logitech Crayon support for the iPad Pros. So,
has it?
Yes, because before it was limited. Originally, it was limited to the basic iPad, wasn't it? The one they released at the education event.
Yes, yeah.
The sort of $329 one. I also quite like the fact that these two new ones are, and don't get me wrong, the $329 9.7 is a really nice iPad, but they did cut back on the specs to get that down to a price. Yeah. And I think it's quite nice to see some mid-range ones. Some people are saying it's getting a bit confusing with 5 iPads. I don't really see that it's that confusing a range. You've got a basic iPad, if you like, a entry-level iPad. You've got a mid-range iPad and a mini version thereof, and then you've got the Pros. And I mean, the Pros are a whole nother level altogether. So, I mean, they start at what, £900 or something, £800.
I'm just looking at the iPad versus the iPad Air. The iPad Air seems to have everything in there apart from the ProMotion.
Yeah.
It's just a slightly bigger screen. It's a higher resolution screen, but the price seems to be so on par with an iPad that it hasn't got all of that. I don't know why you'd ever buy an iPad. It seems like the iPad Air is the way to go for a cheap alternative.
Well, relatively cheap.
I mean, oh yes, yes. Sorry, it's what it's about. Actually, it's about $150 more, isn't it?
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
then again, that's not, for what you're getting, I still think a lot of people would say, why would you, unless you were absolutely desperately, trying
Yeah.
to keep the budget under control, that would be the machine to buy, that or the Mini. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that was followed, of course, by Tim with his picture of AirPods on his iPad, and they released the long-awaited AirPods 2.
Yeah.
Now, these apparently they're selling for the same price as the previous version, unless you want the wireless charging, the wireless charging case, I should say. But apparently they have longer talk time, faster connectivity, which, considering everybody raved about how easily the AirPods connect, seems pretty amazing. And they have Hey Siri built in.
Yes, that's positive, because that frees up one of your tap button choices, doesn't it?
Yes. I mean, I'm not an AirPods user, but people who use them obviously do tend to like them a lot. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a fairly straight, iterative improvement, usual sort of Apple things. They put a new Headphone 1 chip in, apparently.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things about this that slightly disappoint me. I did hear that there was going to be a slightly different coating to them that might help them stay in your ear. I have to use an extra little device. I forgot what they're called.
Well, the ear skins, like a rubber thing that you put over it. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Because if I'm led down, they fall out of my ears. It's okay for walking the dogs and everything, but as soon as I run, I have to apply those because otherwise they fall out. So I was hoping for a different coating. I was also a little bit disappointed that I can understand them selling the wireless charging case for the people that have got the AirPods 1, but I was hoping that actually the new variant would come with the charging case, because I can't imagine it's that much more to produce, certainly not $50 more. So I was a little bit disappointed that wouldn't just be the way forward with the new AirPods 2. With that said, I will probably go and buy the ones with charging case, not necessarily the wireless charging case. It's very rare that I really need that, but I have had a few problems with my AirPods over the last sort of 6 months, where the right ear pod seems to beep and fail, stopping the left one. Double tapping my ear again, it starts up the left one, and I've sort of given up on the right hand ear pod for now and just do everything with the left. There was no way I was going to get them replaced up until the point of this release, so I will be putting an order in over the next couple of days.
This is something I've done. Can you actually buy a single AirPod?
You can. It's about £79. So the thing is, by this point, you haven't got the confidence in the life of the other battery. So
no. Yeah, I know. I totally. It's quite nice. I have to say, I still think £159 for AirPods is a bit steep, but there you go. That's me. I'm a tightwad. It's nice to see that they've not jacked the price up. Put it that way.
Yes, yeah. They are brilliant things. So
I mean, you've got like you say, there's the AirPods 2 in the charging case. There's the same price as previous, $159. $199 will get you AirPods 2 with a Qi compatible charging case. To be honest, I've never been that struck with this whole Qi. Why, wireless charging? If you're going to put it down on a mat or whatever, why not just plug it in?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, right next to me now is a charging base from Anker. I've also got one downstairs next to the sofa. But because you can't use your phone with it on the pad, well, without craning your neck,
yeah.
Actually, I just plug it in every time. So it's been a little bit pointless for me. The only place I really do benefit from it is I have a 45-degree wireless charger at work. So when I place it down, I put it onto a charger, so it definitely gets through the day and plenty of time for me to walk the dogs in the evening. So it's quite useful there.
I have to say that ever since I bought the XR, it's barely an issue. I mean, I go through the day and I can, by bedtime, I've still probably got 50% left.
Right.
The battery life of the XR, it is phenomenal.
I'm still currently on the X, but that's still mostly through the day. It just depends on how much I use it.
I think the XR might benefit from the fact that it's not using the OLED screen.
Right.
It's probably got the same kind of battery internals as the XS, but it's not using the OLED screen. I think that might have something to do with it. But anyway, you do get a lot of life out of that. And then of course they've released a huge slew of watch straps in a variety of colours. New spring colours, sort of they're sort of pastel-y. Some of them look a bit muddy to me, but there we go. Whatever floats your boat. And they're available in the usual sports, Nike, was it Loop, Modern Buckle, Hermes, all in these new colours.
I recently got myself the Apple Watch Series 4, and had the opportunity to buy it with that sort of Velcro strap.
Oh, right.
I can't remember what they call it now, but it's fantastic. It's such a, the Velcro has been open and closed a couple of times a day, each day. It's not showing any signs of fraying or anything. These little sort of pill-shaped, what do you call it? the pill-shaped sort of Velcro tabs on it. They're absolutely incredible. There's just no sign of it degrading at all.
I was going to say, is that the sports loop? Is that what they call the sports loop?
That's it. That's the one.
Because
it's brilliant.
I used to before I had an Apple Watch, I used to use the little square iPod Nano.
Yes.
As a watch, with a sports loop, not an Apple sports loop because they didn't make them in those days, but a sports loop that I used to buy from the shop. And my only beef with that was after a year, the Velcro would be going. It would gradually degrade. But I don't know how you kind of get round that to some extent. But anyway,
well, we seem to have done. There's no signs of it degrading in the slightest.
That's good.
Brilliant.
That's good. What else have we got in the Apple news? Apple have announced support for the News Literacy Project education program, which is nice. Are you familiar with this news literacy organisation?
No, I haven't kept up with that. I know they're doing great work there, but I haven't really had a chance to look into that one enough.
As we say, it says here, Alan C. Miller, founder and CEO of the News Literacy Project. I am pleased to share some exciting news. Apple has today announced that it selected the News Literacy Project to play a central role in a new initiative supporting leading non-profit organisations providing non-partisan news literacy programs in the United States and Italy. That's an unusual mix, but there we go. If you're not really familiar with it, the main point of the News Literacy Project is to encourage young people to learn how to examine news, particularly online. What should we say? Critically, really.
Okay.
To think like a journalist and to not just accept blindly what you read online. Obviously its core point is to help tackle fake news, as it were.
Yeah, there's so much of that about these days. You can barely get through a web page without the amount of trash that's on there these days. It's just incredible. And I find myself closing websites quicker than even attempting to read them these days.
Well, yeah, and of course the problem is that this is not even blatantly fake news sites, is it? The problem is the stuff that gets disseminated in quick tweets or across Facebook, like where people say, "Oh, look, did you know XYZ?" And is it true? How do you know? How do I know if it's true? And a lot of it, so that is their remit, really. They have a thing here called Checkology. Can your students tell the difference between fact and fiction? Help your students to master news literacy skills. And I know that's something that Tim Cook has talked about, of course, that it's important that we help people to come to terms with this new, news landscape.
Yeah.
So that was good. Apple have acquired an Italian startup specialising in back-end automation, apparently. Well, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, Apple acquire stuff all the time. It appears that this company specialised in building low-code workout solutions, whatever the hell that means.
Another one I've picked up on from other podcasts, but not really got enough detail in. Was this a purchase to sort of keep technology away from other companies, or was it more to feed stuff like this driverless project that we're still hearing about?
Yes, low-code workflow automation platform. Hub purchased for about $5.6 million. Doesn't really tell you much on this report. They were called Stamplay. The old site promised companies it could streamline operations and improve productivity by 10 times, with its automation platform. Companies would use Stamplay's platform of APIs to create their own web-based apps.
Okay.
It doesn't really tell you very much,
So,
I'm afraid.
do you think this is another technology that's going to help them with the Mac apps on iPad? Maybe it's something to do with that.
I suspect. I suspect this is a talent acquisition rather than a content acquisition. Doesn't tell you much on that, I'm afraid. But there we go. Just something I noticed that they picked up. I would suspect it's probably they're purchasing for their back end skills. I would think could have something, of course, to do with their alleged, showtime.
Yes. Yeah. Looking forward to that event.
Yep, very much so. No idea what's coming, to be honest. People have been guessing everything. I've not looked at most of the things. I've seen everything from everything you need to know about Apple's 25th event to Apple's event will be nothing more than a glorified shopfront. It's like, you're all guessing. You're all bloody guessing.
No point. Just sit there and watch the keynote, see what comes out of it.
Yep.
I'm hoping it's something that is going to make the searching of programs on Apple TV a whole lot better. I sort of use the TV app, but most of my stuff comes from Netflix, and Netflix isn't part of that. I'm ever so slightly frustrated by the fact that I'm watching a TV series, and when I switch on the TV and go to Netflix, for example, it's not the first thing I see. It's I always have to seem to scroll down to continue what I was watching. I think actually having it front and center, whether it be in the TV app, which would be ideal, or the apps making the users, the workflow there. I hate having to. I never know whether to scroll up or down to find this content. I was only watching yesterday.
Yeah, I know. I use Netflix, and much as I love the content and I love watching their output, damn, their interface is horrible.
It's terrible. It really is.
You can't find anything, can you? You scroll up, you scroll down. Everything you hover over starts auto-playing, whether you want it to or not. I can never find... It's like, where the hell's the bit that lets me show only movies or only, dreadful. I've read that apparently Netflix might be having a UI overhaul. Please let that be true. Please let that be true.
Or if not, just allow the TV app to actually control everything. That would be ideal. At least everything there flows. At least because the thing is, we're watching programs on the ITV player, the BBC's. There's so much content in so many different apps.
It's all over the place, isn't it?
Mid-40s now. I'm forgetting what I did yesterday.
It just gets worse, Ivor. Take it from me, it just gets worse. My biggest hope for tomorrow is whatever it is that they announce isn't US only.
Yes, yeah.
And I am sorry to say that I do not have great hopes for that. Or if it is US only, please can you tell us it will be rolling out, in Europe and Canada and Australia and whatnot, within a sensible amount of time. I've no idea what to expect. I have absolutely no idea what to expect. Could be anything.
I was having a look yesterday at all these content partnerships they've been generating for their service. Nothing yet properly excites me. Maybe that Asimov series
Yeah,
But
I was going to say the Asimov Foundation series, if it was done well, could be another Game of Thrones. It really could.
yeah, yeah. But nothing else is really jumping out at me at the moment. But it's nice to have another player on board, I think. Whether the inclusion is that sort of content plus magazines. I used to read a lot of magazines on my iPad. I haven't recently through lack of time, but if there is just a small upgrade in price to include that as well, I might be interested. But and I'm hoping there's something that makes me go back to using my iPad as much as I did, because I love the machine, but it was a content device for me, but it's sort of languishing at the moment because well, apart from, like I said, apart from the daughter drawing on it, I'm just not finding a requirement for it, and I'd love to sit there and view content on that again, because it's such an enjoyable way to do it.
Yep. I really don't know. I mean, people are throwing all sorts of ideas out there. There's even been mention of, some sort of gaming, Netflix of games. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea what to expect. I'm just hoping that it doesn't, all turn into a massive debt letdown. That said, the fact that they released all this hardware this week would indicate that they feel they have got a lot to say.
Yes, I was wondering if that was going to be the case, because I was surprised with things like the AirPod launch and maybe some of these AirPod ones, because I thought that might be a little bit of filler in this keynote. So it's sounding quite positive that they've got a lot to talk about. So we'll see tomorrow night.
We will indeed.
It'll be what, 6 o'clock? This
at 5.
Is it 5 o'clock? Is it
5 o'clock? Because we haven't changed our clocks yet.
Right.
So
I'll be watching that on catch up then.
Well, it'll be on
releasing them really quick these days, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be live streamed to your Apple TV, and then usually within an hour of it finishing, it's available to play. So,
there's tomorrow night's entertainment then.
Very much so. Of course, we haven't even mentioned that they also upgraded the iMacs.
Oh yes, yeah, of course.
With new chips. Now available with the Vega graphics cards, and also the iMac Pro got another spec bump. Now up to 256 gigabytes of RAM, which, by the way, will cost you more than the machine itself.
Yes, yeah. With the new iMac, the new Mac Pro on the horizon, whether it's this year or next, it's quite surprising that they've upgraded this one.
Well, it wasn't so much that they'd upgraded it as that they just, barely a mention.
Yes, yeah, just drifts by, doesn't it?
Just so, there we go. Looking forward to that, and as I say, hoping it's not a terrible letdown. Well, I'll tell you what, Ivor, shall we take 5 minutes while John has his hardware store, get ourselves a fresh cup of tea or whatever, and we'll come back and have a look at technology stories after the break.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
We're always big fans of multi-purpose devices here at Nemo's hardware store, and a company called Time Traveler has a product called the iPhone and Apple Watch Battery Bank, $80 in the U.S., and it is provided to us for review by The Grommet, TheGrommet, thegrommet.com. And Simon will have the link for this and the other product in our show notes here on this week's episode of Essential Apple. This is a small, multi-purpose USB charging unit. Fits comfortably in an adult male hand. It's about 1.5 inches by 3/4 inch by about 4 inches with a rounded top. Has a lightning cable, a short lightning cable that tucks into the back and unfolds so you can charge your iPhone. Capacity is 3,000 mAh, so it will charge a standard iPhone all the way up. You charge this device, the iPhone and Apple Watch battery bank, you charge it up with an included USB micro cable. It's about 3 feet long, and you plug that into any charging brick that you want, and then you turn it on, plug in your iPhone or your whatever that uses the lightning cable, and off you go. There is a 1-inch white dot at the rounded top that you can set your Apple Watch on, so you can charge both devices at the same time. and just about squeak by with enough power for both of them if the battery bank is fully charged. And it also has a standard USB output. So you can charge any USB device, whether it's a camera or any headphones or anything, using the included USB output. So it's actually a triple feature charger, the iPhone and Apple Watch and USB battery bank. Company is time transfer, $80 US, provided by thegrommet.com. Lovely design, sort of a grayish brown in color. And I particularly like the way the lightning cable tucks into the back. Very, very neat design. And the way you can set your watch on this rounded dot on the upper front part. So have a look at the pictures at thegrommet.com and you can read some reviews, lots of raves on their website. Second product comes to us from our friends at Hitcase, Hitcase, hitcase.com. $60 in the US for either size of the S or the Max or the standard iPhone 10, the original one. And it is a case. It is a back and side case for the iPhone. Looks just like a regular case, except it's made of a beautiful leather. Comes in different colors. There's a hole in the back for the camera lens. And there are silver buttons built into the side panels for the side button volume up and down, and an open bottom for charging and for the speakers. So it's not a full case. It's a side and back case, just like any other case you'd expect, except for this price, you get beautiful leather and rugged construction. Those buttons and all the trim features are stainless steel. Very nicely done. It gets better. There is a magnetized oval around the area where the camera lens is, and you can put any of the Hitcase lenses magnetized right onto them. Super wide, wide, and macro. We have used and reviewed the Hitcase lenses. They are called Magnetic Trulux, Trulux lenses, and you will see that on their website at hitcase.com. The lenses do not come with the case. They are extra. They are very good value and very convenient for just magnetizing onto the back and then putting them away when you are done. So thank you, The Grommet, for providing the iPhone and Apple Watch battery bank, and to Hitcase for the Fera, F-E-R-R-A. That's the name of these leather cases. They come in black and in brown. I'm holding the brown one. It's very attractive, really nicely made. Crafted with full-grain Italian leather, Fera is a slim, ultralight iPhone case that combines traditional leatherwork stylings with solid, day-to-day protection. Okay, you get the idea. That's it for Nemo's Hardware Store. Back next week.
Thank you, John. And as ever, links are in the show notes. Well, we're going to move on now from the Apple-based stuff to a few technology stories. In the break, Ivor, you were telling me about your drone. So,
yes,
yeah.
What had happened is there was a lad in work that had brought one in that was his brother-in-law's. It sat on the desk for about a month before we had the courage to give it a go. I was instantly hooked and decided to buy myself a Mavic Pro Platinum, one of the first variants, not the new one that's out. And I've been doing some flying around the local area and putting together a few little videos and shots using both Lightroom and some of the Skylum software, the Aurora that I won on one of your previous shows has come to good use because I'm quite a fan of HDR as well. So yeah, I've been quite enjoying it. I mean, the things are incredible. Some of the footage that you get out of it from perspectives that you never really get a chance to see, it's really kind of captured me. Unfortunately, it hasn't captured the dogs. They don't like this thing at all. I went for a walk in a local park recently with my 14-year-old daughter, and I got her to hold the dogs. So what I do is I tie the leads together and I attach it to both their collars. I handed them over to her, and I started this drone up around about 10 feet away. They both went for it. Lifted her clean off her feet. She must have travelled through the air by at least 1.5 meters, straight down on her face.
Oh,
dragged along by the dogs. And I mean, this was 10 minutes into the walk, and we spent the rest of the time still, reflecting and laughing because it was Hollywood movie style I've never seen anything like it. It's like something out of Home Alone. But it's a brilliant piece of kit. Absolutely fantastic.
Excellent. And talking of Skylum, of course, Skylum have launched a new product, haven't they, specifically for drones? What's that called? Airmagic, it's called.
Yes.
I've had a look at it. At first glance, it would appear to do very much the same as all their other products, which are very good. I suspect it's simply a tuned version to some extent.
Yes, like you said, it seems to take the corrections of the cameras that are built into the drones.
Yes, it does say at the bottom here, adapted for your drone. Airmagic engine detects the camera type used in your drone to produce the image and makes lens corrections and other optimizations specific to that camera. And then they've got a scrolling thing here of what appear to be drone manufacturers. So
it'll be very interesting to see how it interacts with the ND filters that I've bought for mine, just to see, how it can pull out the blue skies and stuff like that. So, I think at some point I'll read the reviews and see what people think of it in the community, and I think I might end up going for that.
Well, it's interesting here. The basic Airmagic with license for 2 computers is £35.
See, that's very reasonable, isn't it?
And they have a time-limited offer on Airmagic with premium style, which I assume is some of their filters, which is currently reduced from £47 to £37.
Perhaps I should act quick.
As an opening offer. So there we go. Yeah, that's actually very reasonable. I noticed that the logo is very similar to Photolemur, so I suspect it's built on the Photolemur engine.
Yes, yeah, it does look that way.
Anyway, there we go. Yes, that's Skylum. Thank you, of course, in the past for giveaways from Skylum, of which Ivor was a recipient of one. That is true. What else? Well, of course, the other big news this week in the technology sphere was all around gaming to a large extent. Google were at the Game Developers Conference, I think. And they announced their Stadia game streaming cloud service, which isn't available yet, by the way. There are still some questions about how they're going to get that to work, but they demoed it. They did demo it. Did you see any of that? Are you much of a gamer, Ivor?
I am a gamer, but lots of companies have tried this before, haven't they? Trying to think of that initial one. Was it called OnLive?
Something like that, I think.
It never was that successful. I think we're getting to a stage with the UK's Wi-Fi being a little bit more up to scratch to try and get rid of some of this latency, or even having the ability in your house to actually stream something that's so high def. I wonder whether you're going to be getting sort of high action games like your Call of Duties and stuff on it. I never actually caught the release. It wasn't until you told me yesterday that this was around. I did a little bit of research on it. It's another one that I just have to sort of sit back and wait and see how successful it is before really looking into it.
I think so. I mean, they demoed it and it looked interesting. The idea is that they haven't even really 100% been clear about how they're going to charge for it or whatever. But it would appear that it's almost certainly going to be like a subscription service, possibly with a premium layer for sort of AAA title games. The idea is that Google would effectively play the game for you on high-powered servers and stream it to you live on pretty much anything that is running Chrome. So via the Chrome browser, Chrome OS. Bizarrely, though, from what I'm reading, that applies to everything apart from iOS, for reasons I don't quite understand. But it's all going to rely on how much, what developers they get on board, latency.
Also, I wonder, some of these games, there's tens of hours in there, and if you're streaming, 40 hours of content at 4K at 60 frames per second, your internet's going to really take a hit. I wonder how the your BTs and Virgins are going to deal with that sort of that extended use I mean, a 4K movie, yes, you'll watch for 2 hours, but you could be paying for 6-8 hours a day if you're a bit of an addict.
On that part, I did actually read a piece. I'm going to. It was on Variety, actually, bizarrely. And I'll put that in the. I'll put that in the show notes. It says. Oh, bugger off. It says Google's Stadia is a net neutrality nightmare.
Right.
Obviously with the what is it, FDC or whatever they are in America having rolled back net neutrality rules. Variety are suggesting that could, be a massive target for ISPs to start, jacking up your costs or throttling you to, therefore, because it wouldn't be hard to detect somebody playing Stadia, I don't think.
And that's the last point you ever want to be throttled, isn't it, whilst playing a competitive online game?
Exactly. So I don't know. We'll have to see where that goes, to be honest.
Yeah, it's interesting times though, isn't it?
The pitch for all these things is that, buying a console, a PS4 or a Xbox One or whatever is, not a cheap hobby. You need to buy a new one every few years. Games don't come cheap. They're selling the usual kind of subscription idea. Can they pull it off? This is the thing. Can they pull it off? I mean, they demoed it and it looked fabulous, but it would appear that they were using something like a 200 megabit per second service.
Yeah, this is it.
I mean, they're saying anything better than 5 megabits per second, but I can't see somebody playing Call of Duty at 60 frames a second on 5 megabits.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very interesting one. There isn't a massive amount of competition out there for this, but you did mention Project xCloud.
Yep. Well, that's the next story on the list is, of course, Microsoft also touted this week their own cloud gaming idea, which is called Project xCloud. Similar kind of idea. Obviously, they're pitching that around their Xbox franchise, saying, of course, that they've got thousands and thousands of games and developers already tied to Xbox. They're predicating their idea around what they're calling modified blade servers. They're talking about building special servers which appear to be part blade server and part Xbox internals.
Right.
But again, it's going to come down to the same thing. Can they make it work effectively? It's one thing to have a demo, isn't it? And it's one thing. I mean, I've read reviews of other services where you rent a gaming rig in the cloud or whatever, and it's all right for a casual reviewer to sit down for an hour and tinker with it, and then say, "Oh, well, it seems to work." And somebody who's actually into the game sitting down for a 4-hour session and being frustrated every 20 minutes when the latency's too high. It was bad enough when I used to play World of Warcraft online.
Yeah.
And that was not a high, not exactly a high bandwidth game, designed to be relatively low bandwidth. This is one I've come across, Ivor. This is 3 simple words could mean the difference between life and death, and this was on Digital Trends. This caught my eye because it's actually about location technology.
Yeah.
It's tap the locate button to find your current 3-word address in an emergency.
Right, okay.
Right, it says here, when a woman crashed in her car in rural England after being forced off the road, she was unable to communicate her precise location to first responders because she was unfamiliar with where she was. The solution was What 3 Words, a geocoding app which divides the world into 57 trillion 3 by 3 meter squares. Each has its own 3-word address, such as croak, stoop, wriggle. So users can easily describe super precise locations. Now, yeah, I like you, my initial thought was to laugh at that and say why, but actually, as I thought about it, I thought, well, no, because if you were, in an emergency situation, for whatever reason, it's easy often to be, of course, shocked, confused,
of course.
befuddled. What they're saying, yes. So the idea of sort of 3 memorable words that you can communicate actually becomes cleverer.
How are you finding these words? Is it, the app is...
There is an app, apparently. There is an app which you can have, or if I read further on, right, in these situations, emergency services spend valuable time and resources trying to identify the location of an emergency. In some cases, serving precious minutes can make the difference between life and death. The service is available via a free iOS or Android app or a mobile site. And if a person calling for help does not have the app, the call handler can send an SMS with a link which links to the What 3 Words map on the mobile site. The caller can then see their location and read out the 3-word address. And this appears to be a UK-based thing. What 3 Word is being used by organisations including the Avon and Somerset Police, the West Yorkshire Police, Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue.
I'm struggling a little bit to see how your GPS coordinates aren't something that you instantly have the ability to send.
Yeah.
I think
what did they say here? They did mention that here. Can't remember what they said. Automated location. I think it's not supported by everybody at the moment. I think. Yes, I did partly think that, but I also thought it can't hurt.
No, exactly.
So it says here, we are moving away from the old style of questioning where have you come from, where are you going, what can you see, as these questions take time and are not always accurate. It's true that Android and iPhone both support advanced mobile location technology, which is able to automatically provide first responders with location data, but this takes organising to integrate. This technology, on the other hand, is a breeze to use, allows personnel to communicate information quickly with 3 words. And a layer of certainty for countries which do not support AML technology, which is also sort of something to bear in mind. The guy who developed this apparently said somewhere that his original point is it's an ideal solution for places without addresses, such as refugee camps in Africa or places in outer Mongolia, for example. Which I guess makes sense. If you're climbing in the Himalayas and you fall and break your leg. Whatever. It was an interesting, I found it interesting and quite clever. And they've got a picture here of a police car, parked, and a square marked on the floor in front of it saying loud.fame.sport, showing you. 3 meters by 3 meters, that's not a very big space, is it?
It really isn't. It's quite incredible. I think I will be definitely looking into that.
I should be looking
to keep up to date with these sort of things.
Yeah, so
and
there we go.
It's a free makes it definitely something that is worth a try.
Yep,
can't
do any harm. So that was that one. I like things like that.
So do I.
And what have we got? Microsoft are shipping antivirus for Mac OS as Windows Defender now becomes the Microsoft Defender. Well, there we go. Whoop-de-doo.
It's quite an interesting one because when I bought my daughter her first PC, we were looking into antivirus, and it was another gaming podcast I listened to years ago, and they said just don't bother, just keep Windows Defender on it because it's supposed to be quite a good product. Interestingly, that they're branching out into Mac stuff, but she's never really had anything other than malware bites, just to sort of get rid of a couple of things that did make it through. But Defender seems to have protected it quite well. Yeah,
I will say that the Windows Defender does seem to have a reasonably good reputation. It sort of came out and it was lauded as no need for any other no need for any other antivirus. Then it got slammed a bit as not being as good as it claimed to be, and then it seems to have risen back to the top. Interesting that they're branching out and offering it for the Mac, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you are a Windows user and you want to feel that you only having to worry about one product, and it has a pretty good reputation. I'll be fair. I don't know if they're going to charge for this.
Yeah, they shouldn't. The Windows variant isn't a paid thing, is it? Also, it is quite useful because you're also not installing something that seems to take over your whole system and slow it down. So that's why I've always
there is that.
Defender.
That is true. There are some antivirus products that, in my experience, are worse than the bloody problem they seek to cure. I have known certain products which I shall not name to bring a PC to its knees, weeping. There we are. What else? We're pretty much done, really, Ivor. Facebook, of course, yes, security and privacy. Facebook stored hundreds of millions of users' passwords in plain text for years from Krebs on security. Well,
I must admit, I'm struggling a little bit as to work out this year which Facebook story is which. It just seems to be a stream of them, doesn't it?
Yeah, and this one is apparently Facebook stored millions of passwords in plain text on a internal server. They say that it was not improperly accessed by anybody, and there's no evidence that any misuse was done. Okay, good. That's something, I suppose. But why the bloody hell were you storing passwords in plain text anywhere, ever? You should know better than that.
Yeah, there's been so much of this recently that you'd think that they would be doubling down on that and just making sure they never become news.
It's just, yeah, crazy. It's just an endless stream of pointlessness. Apparently, Signal from Whisper Signal, Whisper Systems. Sorry. I'm a big fan of Wire, but Signal is another similar product, equally well respected. They are introducing free worldwide encrypted phone calls for iPhone, apparently. Again, as I say, Signal is. I have Signal. I don't use it. I don't think I know anybody else who uses it. Although it is well supported, I prefer Wire. We are releasing Signal free worldwide encrypted calls for iPhone, compatible with Red Phone for Android. Requires uses your existing number, does not require a password, leverages privacy-preserving contact discovery. It uses ZRTP, a well-tested protocol for secure voice communication. So there you go. If you are in need of encrypted phone calls, is this a secure line?
The timing of this is pretty good with all this stuff that's going on with Facebook. Messenger has always been the encrypted platform of choice, but as it's owned by Facebook, people are starting to get a bit concerned about it. So
you mean WhatsApp, don't you?
What did I say?
Messenger.
Oh, sorry. Yes, WhatsApp is what I meant. Yes,
WhatsApp.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I just received a call this morning from my mum. She's out in Antalya, and the quality was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, we didn't need it to be a secure line, but I love WhatsApp. I think it's fantastic. But with everything that's going on at the moment with Facebook, you do start to
worry, don't you? This was last week, I think, and we didn't discuss it, but the guy from WhatsApp, who the founder of WhatsApp, left after a spat, apparently. And also the guy from Instagram, interestingly, both of them have left Facebook in what would appear to be fairly short order and in mostly in a foul temper.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It seems one of them basically said, I sold the company to Facebook on the promise that nothing would change, and then they started wanting to, data collect, and so he left. He's gone off in a bait.
It must be very difficult for these companies. They put all their passion and love into an app. Selling it is probably the easier choice sometimes when it's such a competitive market, and then to see it sort of ruined that way, it must be very, very hard for these people. I do feel for them.
I mean, he said in a piece I read that he felt bitterly betrayed, and regretted having sold. But he said at the time, of course, when somebody offers you like 15 billion, I have to think of not just me but everybody else in the company. Yeah, exactly. To not sell would have been suicide, really. Yeah. So then he was given assurances, and then those assurances have been undermined. There we go. There we are. Worth a chirp. Ivor, you brought this one to my attention because I'd not seen it. NVIDIA's GoGAN.
Yeah, I really found it interesting because it basically is, imagine doing a sketch in something that is just block colour. So you put a light blue sky on and you put a green field. You might stick a river running through it or a mountain. And then you can almost select those block colours and underneath that screen is a number of icons showing, river, sky, field or grass or whatever. And as you tap on them, your sky becomes a photorealistic sky. And the interesting point was where there was a sort of like a mountain range, and a chap with some sort of stylus just drew a small arc coming off of it, pressed the waterfall button, and a photorealistic waterfall came up. It's incredible. I mean, NVIDIA have been doing some amazing stuff recently. We've been following them at work with their fluid dynamic modeling and all that sort of stuff. That's been quite interesting. But this one can turn everybody into, I was going to say Picasso. That's not actually the right word, because that wasn't particularly photorealistic. But it just brings that sort of creativity to people, because you just, it looks like you can just choose between a load of skies and choose between a different style of mountain range. And I just love that sort of anything that will spark creativity in a young person, or even an adult sat in front of an iPad or a computer. I'm just very impressed with that sort of technology. The AI side of it seems to be quite impressive, because it blends everything together perfectly.
Well, the thing is, having read a little bit about it, it's using the same technology that they used to do the I am not a real person faces.
Yes, yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure that even though those photorealistic skies and whatnot, I suspect that those are actually kind of generated. They're not simply pulled out of a library. They're actually generated on the fly, I think, by the ML AI thing. So that's worth a look, people. It is worth a look. Go and have a look at that. That was fun. Nearly as much fun as the I am not a person, or whatever it was called. I can't remember its exact name now. There we are. And I think we've pretty much done it all, Ivor. I think that's probably pretty much all. So I know that you've got things to do. So I think we'll sign off. So
yes, yeah. Before we go, I'd like to say a quick thanks to Skylum for my Aurora key, and also to Ghostery for sending me that pack of t-shirts and stickers and beer bottle opener, which has been very, very useful. And yeah, to anybody that inputs to your show like this, it's always nice. It's not often you win things in life, and when you do, it's quite exciting. So thanks to those, and thanks to you for setting it up. And yeah, it's been another good day. It's 2 years, pretty much. I think, was it 20? What did we say? It was something like March 2017 I was on.
Yes, I think it's almost 2 years to the day, to be honest.
I've been trying my hardest to be a little bit more involved in the Slack community and everything, but they're keeping me so busy at work that it's work, walk dogs, eat, sleep, and back to work again at the moment, which I absolutely love it. But yeah, it's sort of kept me from learning about some of these news stories, and it just goes to show that I need to sort of pay attention a little bit more.
Well, no, that's fine. Thank you for coming on. And once again, do you want to tout your website?
Yeah, so at hybridairvehicles.com, you'll see a bit of past and mostly future. We're looking forward to the future. We're in a really good place at the moment. It's allowing us to really realise our imaginations, and everything's getting very excited. We're still a way off from actually building an aircraft, but at the moment we're doing a lot of research and development into new designs for bits and pieces on that aircraft that we know we could improve on, and really, really exciting times. So look to the skies. It's going to be a little while, but we'll be back out there as soon as possible.
And of course, I would just say for anybody who's not aware, a large point of the project is to create more sustainable, less polluting, lower energy consumption aircraft.
Yes, I mean, every time we speak to potential customers, they always ask us twice with our fuel burn, for example, because nobody can really believe the figures. It's not too far off, almost like motorsport levels. It's absolutely incredible. We're designed to sort of fly off on 4 engines for that initial launch, and then potter around on 2 or even 1 engine when you're talking sort of like piston engines, V8s, V10s or something like that. The fuel burn is incredibly low. So you imagine loitering in an area may be a disaster or something, coordinating efforts on the ground for 5 days at a time just on a single engine. It's it opens up so many possibilities, and that's the exciting part really, is what's next. It's great fun.
I think it's actually interesting in many ways, because it's in some ways quite Jules Verne, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
He wasn't, maybe Jules Verne wasn't so wrong with his skyships, and there we are. Okay. Yeah. I am, of course, on the Twitter as @Serenak, and that's SERENAK. The show is @Essential Apple. All the stuff is over on the website at essentialapple.com. And I think that's probably it. So thank you very much for coming on, Ivor. I will just say that obviously tomorrow is Apple's presentation, and I am going to be joined next Sunday by Carolina Milanese of Creative Strategies and Tech Opinions to look over everything Apple have talked about. So I'm looking forward to that. So until then, I think me and Ivor will just say goodbye.
Goodbye all.
You've been listening to the Essential Apple podcast, and I'd like to say, if you enjoy the show and would like to support us, feel free to go over to the website essentialapple.com, and you will find links to both Patreon and the Pinecast Tips Jar, where you can make a donation towards the costs of the show, or even if you're really keen, you could set up a recurring payment. And thank you very, very much to all the people who already do support us. We really do appreciate you very much indeed. This show is, of course, part of the iMac podcasting network, where you can find a variety of other shows like the iMac podcast with Guy and Gaz, the G-Men, Tech Fan with Tim and David, the Nintendo Club podcast, the geekiest show ever, the Three Geeky Ladies, Bart Bouchot's and his wonderful Let's Talk Apple, and possibly some more that I forgot. So why not go over to mymac.com, take a look at the available podcasts, and take a listen.
Hey David, this week on TechFan, let's talk about Apple.
Don't like it.
Yeah, okay. Windows? We can talk about Windows.
Boring.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things in 3D printing going on. We could talk
really?
about.
Cool? No. I don't think so.
What about like the Raspberry Pi? We've discussed that in the past. It's TechFan.
No.
You're just being difficult now. What do you want to talk about this week on TechFan?
How about we talk about Apple, and then a little bit about Microsoft, and then the Raspberry Pi?
You suck.
Has been the Essential Apple Podcast. Goodbye and thank you for listening.